Hi there, this is Lori from Empowered Consciousness, and I'm happy to have you here. I appreciate it. I want to talk to you today, talk with you today, look with you today at the question of whether we can really discover and embody our power. This time in the US is completely nuts. It is the death throes of the patriarchal mode that is going on, has been going on for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And because it's the death throes, there's also a birth that's coming behind that. We can see some of the sparkles, we can see some of the light starting to shine, but you have to be looking. Uh, One of the things that we have to understand, especially as women, we have been held down for so long, and we have adhered to the social programming. We have joined the social programming stuff in our own minds, our own emotional expectations, our emotional set points. And my purpose is to help women step outside of the social programming. And I do that with talks, with workshops, um, individual coaching for women leaders, writing, all kinds of things. But I love tarot and I love the cards because they are uncanny. And so, what I'd like to do is use these as much as I can to see if we can't get a sense of what it is that we need as a collective to work through most to get from the I can't that our culture teaches us to believe in our limitations, to believe that unless I'm the expert in something, I can't know anything about it, and to get from that to our limitlessness, to saying, I can do anything. I can do and have and be anything. When I say that, I don't mean what's going on in Washington right now. I don't mean go and just steal things and be obnoxious and don't care about other people. I don't mean that at all. I'm talking about the inner workings of our empowerment and what empowerment actually is. So I pulled a card for us. Actually, it came out of the deck um, for us as a collective, and the card is the Two of Cups. This beautiful deck, the Light Seers Tarot. And what I get from this card is that we are walking into something very, very new. We have to walk into something incredibly new emotionally. And the emotion that we have to walk into is the match and the balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So this means that in all of us, because in all of us lives the masculine and the feminine. And what we have to do is find our way into that balance. But before we can even get to balance, we have to get into the feminine. We have to understand what the feminine even is. Because when I talk about the feminine, I don't mean dresses and I don't mean being sexy and cute and all of that. I'm actually talking about something that is deeper, that we can still be sexy and cute. That's not a problem. But what we want to be is powerful in knowing our feminine aspects, because for forever we've been taught that anything feminine is considered bad, is considered shameful, is considered weak and not okay. And we've been shamed, we've been relentlessly shamed, and we've been sexualized. And there's a whole world that we live in that men don't live in, that they don't know about. And yet we need them to become conscious so that they can help us step out. They can support us in our efforts to step out. And we're going to do that together. It's the next card that fell out. I'm sorry, I don't have a camera that looks down on my cards yet. I just don't have that set up. But um, this is what we need. We need each other. We need to do this together. This is why I offer workshops. This is why I love group work. Is we all stand at different places in relationship to things that happen in our lives as women. And when we can come together and share those different viewpoints, we actually create like a 360-degree awareness. And it's amazing what we can come and get from each other, how inspired we can be, how we can get insight. It's pretty awesome. Truly, truly awesome. So we do have to come together, and we do have to support each other, and we have to. There's been a missing piece for those of us who, like me, I've dropped cards. Excuse me. So just throwing them everywhere. For people like me who've been doing personal growth work for decades and decades and decades, we really need to bring something into this experience that I feel is insanely important, which is the actual doing of the action that we're afraid to do. In other words, I use acting a lot in the workshops that I do. So I also in the individual coaching, somebody comes to me to become more visible, to become a great public speaker. Well, the first thing they need to do is get authentic. And that's not so easy in a culture that teaches us that everything that makes us authentic, especially as women, is not okay. That it's just we're going to be looked down on. We're not going to be seen kindly, and that's just it's crap. It's not good. So here are the two cards I dropped, and I mean, no cards dropped by mistake ever. So we've got the Hierophant, which is the teacher, the higher self that is always bringing in what is the feminine. One of the really incredible feminine things is intuition, inspiration. These are the feminine aspects of us, and we need to not be as afraid to use them as we perhaps have. Or if you're not afraid of it and you've been trying to get to it, we have to understand some things about beliefs, about how what we believe is what's true. Henry Ford, the famous car creator from way back in a way back day, at this point said, whether you think you're right or you think, no, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that's a truth that has never changed. The King of Swords, this is coming to, in this case, coming to a place where we want to master how we respond to and work with our thoughts. Our thoughts are connected with emotions. Now, depending on who you will either be aware of your thoughts or you will be aware first of your emotions. It's not a competition, it's a self-awareness thing. Are you, for a long, 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 long time, I just felt the emotion. I didn't know what thoughts were going with it. And bringing those two elements together is such a powerful thing that when I did it and I created something I call the 1% solution, I actually shifted the clinical depression that I'd been in for almost 4 decades. So this is not to say, gosh, you need to heal in a minute. But what it means to say is there is only possibility for us. And we have to approach what our thoughts are in terms of what they bring up in us. That's how we're going to know if we have, no, that's how we're going to know that we have the power to honestly create change in our own lives, which honestly, we don't believe. Generally, we don't believe that, right? If this falls down, it's because my cats are behind there having a good time. But anyway, and I'll just speak for myself. I had depression for such a long time, and I was never able to fight it. I was never able to do anything with it other than stay alive, which thank God for that. And I had therapy, and I had, there were the drugs that you take, and there's no sort of goal here in anything that you do other than the goal of feeling a little bit better. And the reason that I say that is when we feel a little better because of the efforts that we've made, we suddenly know our power. We suddenly know, oh my God, I have a part in this play. And our culture teaches us, no, you don't. Our culture says, no, no, everybody else is responsible. Everybody else is gonna um, tell you what to do and teach you what to do and tell you if you're right or wrong. And especially as women, we learn very early that our mission is to be liked. But empowerment and being liked don't always go together. And that's not because empowerment means anything bad. It doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be obnoxious. It doesn't mean that. It means, oh my goodness, I keep dropping these cards. They keep popping out. Empowerment means that you are working to know who you are as an exploration, as a fascination with who you are and what does that even mean? Like internally, what does it mean? Emotionally, vibrationally, energetically, who are you? Who are you? Are you a creative person as a scientist, or are you a creative person as an artist? Are you, who are you? What do you tell yourself is your identity? And is that really your identity? Well, these are questions that I've asked myself a lot over the years. And what I want to do is I want to try pulling some cards about what it is that we need. I'm going to do a traditional layout, and this is for all of us as a collective. What do we women need to understand in order to say, you know what, I can absolutely make a difference. Just my one voice, just my one being, just me making phone calls or marching or doing whatever it is that I can do, or supporting other people who do that stuff, getting involved in politics, changing the nature of my emotional status, because this gets into a whole other thing. But when we do that, when we change how we feel, don't we change what comes our way? We do. We really do. So, what is it that we need? Okay, first card, 10 of Pentacles. And you can tell from this card that this is us in our real state. This is in the position of who are we? And who we are is we're really community. That's who we truly are. Men, women, children, we are meant to be community. We're meant to share our resources. And so if you're watching this, you're probably somebody who really wants this kind of community. Maybe you even have family that isn't family to you, and you find your family in your friendships. This is who you know that you truly are and that you truly, truly want. Now, the card that's going to cross that is our mental struggles. Well, that's for sure. That's for sure. Our mental, emotional struggles are what keep us so far away from each other. We're very frightened of emotional intimacy. And when I say that, what I mean is not sex per se, but being open and honest and authentic about who we are, all by ourselves and also with each other. So that's the real challenge, and especially in this time, it's tremendously important. Um, Underlying all of this is the Moon card. This is all about the secrets that we keep from ourselves. From ourselves. I'm not talking about the subconscious. I'm talking about secretly thinking, you know, I really am good at that thing and I'm just afraid to do it. Or, you know, I really don't want to be in this relationship, or I don't want to be at this job. And yet we tend to stay away from our own truths because we feel like we're supposed to immediately know what to do about them. You're not supposed to immediately know anything. If you are embracing the feminine process, then you are embracing process instead of goal. The masculine only says, I've got to have the goal, I've got to reach the goal, I got to focus on the goal, I got to do nothing but that. the balanced masculine feminine brings in the feminine, and the feminine is, we are in a process and we're going to let that be. That's going to be the way it is. Now, in the past, we've sort of gone out to sea, so to speak, and tried to be our own selves, tried to make our own way, tried to set up our stability the best ways we know how, saying, I think this is who I am, and I'm going to just build a life on this. And the thing that happens with building our identity as young women is that we cling to whatever keeps us afloat. We don't necessarily look for what's going to help us fly because we're so uncertain, right? I mean, that makes sense. We don't have a lot of experience, and we go out there, and what happens with all of these ideas and beliefs about ourselves is that they become self-fulfilling prophecies. They become our identity. We don't have that community that we want so very much. And what we're really looking for is a way to start to rise, not just to survive, but to thrive. And I think that we actually know that in some way, I think we know in some way that we are emotionally based beings, and that is what helps us rise. It's not the mind. The mind alone does not help us rise. But the mind with the emotion gives us what we need to rise. We're really good at the mind. We're not so good at hearing our emotions, at being able to make room for them. It's not something we've been trained in, and that's what I'm wanting to train people in. Coming in the future for us is a lot of choice, really. Building from our own creative spark, what the things are that are going to support us in moving into our sovereignty, really. There are so many things that we can create, so many pathways that we can create. There are so many things we have to discover about ourselves, about what are the parts of me that really support me? What really helps me in that way? What kind of creative am I? What do I need? What do I love to do? What do I love to have? Do I love to be around people, or do I really love my alone time more? What will give me the creativity that I need? What are the raw materials, is what I'm hearing. What are the raw materials that are going to give me this investigation in a way that's fun rather than a slog through trying to break with traditions? The fact is that when we try to bust through things, we try to use brute force with ourselves. That's not the way to go. It does not work. But using the feminine does. The intuition, the inspiration, softening to ourselves, making room for ourselves. Then things start to happen. Now, before I go on, let me ask you, please, if you're watching, to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps me, and I appreciate that. So thanks very much. And if you have any questions or need anything, at least I hope that I have put my email in the description, and you are free to get in touch. Okay. So a little bit more about us is that we do really long for some kind of community to help us build together. We know we need this. We already know this. We've been through all kinds of growth. We've been through all kinds of understandings up here, but we need to be with people. Even this, I'm on a Zoom, right? Or a Restream, actually. But we need to get together. We need to join together, whether it is on a Zoom or whatever, or in person, but we know that what we were doing before, which was going it alone, is not the way anymore. It's just not the way. This is the way now. And you can see it's not like get a cast of thousands. It really isn't. It's just a few people can make such a huge, huge difference. Now, the thing that tends to, what's the word I'm looking for? The thing that tends to challenge us about that, about, I need people to be with, is that we're always running from our fears. We're always running from the fear that the people around us aren't going to be the right people. The people we choose are not going to be, they're not going to approve of us. They're not going to help us. And we're just running. We're constantly running. We're not understanding that another part of the feminine is to take things slowly, to take small steps instead of huge steps. Because then we will notice what is around us. We will notice. But, unless we slow down, unless we allow ourselves to breathe and to allow ourselves to allow, we will be running, and we will never, never get there. So that's a big challenge for us as well. Now, our hopes, this is a card that's in the hopes and fears position, and we really would like to start to be that person who is carefree, who says, I'll just throw caution to the winds and I will just try things. And it's okay if I don't succeed, because what will happen is that I will be able to try again. I will try and I will take another tack and I will try again. We want to be as carefree as this, and to say, let me just not be hamstrung by my fears and by the pain that I have felt in my life, because I can learn how to deal with that pain. I can learn how to actually shift that pain and find that I can gain so much. I can gain so much personal growth out of everything that happens to me, that there are no longer things that are horrific for no reason. We always can make something amazing out of them. And the outcome? The masculine and the feminine, the divine masculine and feminine together. That's what we need if we are going to come into this new earth that is being created right now and is causing so much upset on the side of the dark that they are being completely insane. We have this within us, women. We have this. And because we are so close to our emotions, because we are such emotional beings, we have the opportunity to model to others how emotion can be used as jumping off points for better. We can model how wonderful it is to lean into intuition, emotional intelligence, all kinds of amazing things. So I'm going to leave the reading. Oh no, I have to pull for you a card, an oracle card. This is a great card. This is what I wish for all of us. I wish for us all emotional freedom, physical freedom, psychological freedom. And in order to have that, you have to practice it rather than yearn for it only. So we'll get more into that as we go on. But thanks for showing up, and I'll see you again soon.